Hi everybody, it's Tom from FindTheBestCarPrice.com. Today I want to talk about the Kia Telluride and what the pros and cons are of this model. Now, this is a 2021 that we're taking a look at today. Obviously there are changes for 2022, not a lot, but there are some changes. This model debuted as a 2020 and it's still in its first generation. Exterior-wise, the differences between a 2021 and a 2022 will all be found based on the Kia logo that has been changed. That will obviously be different, as will the grille. And other changes include the advanced safety and driver technology features that allow for keeping the driver safe and passenger safe when driving down the road, as well as the 10.25-inch touchscreen and the dual zone climate control being standard now on all trim levels. What about the pros for the Kia Telluride? Well, there's a long list of standard options, some of which that have changed and been added for 2022 that we talked about earlier. The interior is very spacious, so good for large families. Obviously, this is a 3-row SUV, so you're going to have a total of 7 passenger capability, and obviously a very comfortable and smooth ride. And as far as the only con that I can really come up with is that there's not a lot of small storage spaces in the interior of this model. You've got the door bins right here. You've got the map pockets back there on the rear of the seats. But when compared to its competitors, the Kia Telluride does lack in the area of smaller storage spaces. You do have the center console right here, and you can remove that tray out of that area to increase storage space within the console. But other than that, it's not too bad. Let's talk a little bit about what's under the hood and if that's an advantage or a disadvantage. So under the hood, the advantage is that this 3.8-liter V6 makes 291 horsepower. The torque numbers come in at 262, and it's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. MPGs come in at 20 miles per gallon city, 26 on the highway, and 23 combined. Kia says you should use 4.3 gallons of gas per every 100 miles you drive. The only disadvantage here that people might want to know about, if you can call it a disadvantage, is that this is the only engine option available for the Telluride. And as we talk about an advantage that involves this rear door, let me give you the cargo and towing numbers. Towing comes in at 5,000 pounds, and cargo capacity ranges between 21 cubic feet up to as much as 87 cubic feet. You can lower these middle row seats and the rear seats here, depending on what your situation is. What's the advantage of this rear door that I was talking about? Well, if somebody wants to change the height of the door, here's how you do it. I'm going to lower it to about right here, and then you hold this button down until it beeps. So now that it's beeped, we're going to close that. We'll let it close all the way, and then we'll open it again, and you'll see that it automatically reset to where I positioned it. You don't have to do anything in the interior. You don't have to really change anything. Just a really nice feature. And obviously you have the dual sunroofs here, not really panoramic I wouldn't say, but you do have the rear and the front. The rear being quite a bit larger than the front. That front's more of a conventional size. And when it comes to the interior, there are a lot of nice features here, easy to learn. You got push button start right here, so we'll push that and let you see what comes up. We're just going to take a quick look at what's here. Everything's easy to use, and especially if you're somebody who has never had a vehicle with this kind of technology in it before, this is easy to learn, easy to use. Don't be afraid of it. I guarantee you, you'll be glad that you purchased this vehicle. Dual zone climate control, there's an advantage. You also have heated and ventilated seats, power seats. There's so many great advantages here. I don't want to cover every single little detail, but I think you kind of get the idea. There's just not a lot of cons to the Telluride, but you might wonder about that horsepower number I gave earlier of 291. How does the Telluride get down the road? Let's do a test drive and find out. Before we jump out for that test drive, I promised I do want to talk about one more thing here that I think is a nice advantage. You have the multi-view camera here, the 360-degree view overhead right there. There is a lot of ability here to take advantage of what's going on around you and see what's going on around you But you know what? One thing that I really like here, look at what we have right here. It's one of those side view cameras. That's not the only thing. This is why it's important to use your blinkers, because when you turn on the right side blinker, well, there you go. You see into your right side blind spot, and the same with the left. That is one of my favorite features here on the Telluride. Okay, on the road with the Telluride for a quick test drive. The Telluride has a very smooth ride. The leather-wrapped steering wheel is nice and comfortable, and I like the overall adjustability of the driver's seat. Now, I couldn't really tell you how it is to sit anywhere else in the vehicle, so we'll just have to rely on those of you who have experience in the passenger seats in the Tellurides to tell us down in the comments. But as I turn on my blinker, I always use my blinkers, and it's especially fun to do here in the Telluride because of those cameras that show you what's in your blind spot. That's just a nice feature. I really like that. But when it comes to just the overall usability, the Telluride has a very smooth, enjoyable ride. Good acceleration. You might think that the horsepower under the hood is not quite enough at 291. Well, don't forget, you do have those multiple driving modes, including Sport, which we're in right now. And I'm going to hit the start-stop button. Actually, you know what? Since we're low on gas, I'm going to do something a little out of the ordinary and actually use the start-stop feature to save a little bit of fuel. All right, we're going to take off here in the Telluride and just cruising down the road in sport mode. I'm going to tell you something. You might think 291 horsepower is not enough. The get up and go is pretty impressive, and for me to say that says a lot because I am a high performance enthusiast. I've driven race cars that can go 0 to 60 in well less than 1 second, and so for me to be impressed with the acceleration of a vehicle says something. So overall, I must say the Telluride is one of the most well-balanced vehicles on the road when it comes to just the overall capabilities. It has good performance, it looks good, it drives very, very well. It has good capabilities for everyday use as far as cargo capacity, as far as towing capabilities, and great technology that is not difficult to learn or use, especially if you're somebody who has never had this kind of technology before. Overall, the Telluride definitely ranks high. We've never really done our favorite SUV video, at least not yet, but I guarantee you if we did, you'd find out that the Telluride would be one of the front runners, might be #1.
To learn more about the model in today's video, visit the link in the description for a detailed comparison between trims and pricing for the vehicle we featured or any vehicle you may be interested in. These pages feature information such as our recommended trim level based on price, value, and features. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. We look forward to seeing you next time.